The first morning began with the blare of a whistle. Lara stood at attention, surrounded by curious stares. Her uniform looked too plain for the elite Phoenix cadets. Ethan Crow noticed her immediately and smiled like a predator. "Did logistics start recruiting civilians now?" he sneered. His voice carried across the yard, drawing laughter from others. Lara met his eyes but said nothing. Her silence unsettled him more than any insult could. Taryn Vale, the blonde at his side, folded her arms. "She probably won a raffle to get here," Taryn said. More laughter followed, echoing off the barrack walls. Lara lifted her transfer papers and spoke evenly. "I'm here to report to Captain Keller." The laughter faded, but the scorn remained. Captain Keller emerged from the office with a clipboard. He scanned her papers and frowned like he smelled dust. "Logistics support, fine, Barracks D, end of the hall." His eyes drifted past her as if she didn't exist. Ethan saluted sharply, earning a rare nod from the captain. Lara turned away before the bitterness could surface. Her boots crunched gravel as she moved toward her quarters. Inside, the air smelled of disinfectant and nervous ambition. Rows of metal bunks lined the narrow space. Every bed was perfectly made except one. Hers. A few cadets glanced up and smirked when she entered. She unpacked slowly, aware of their whispers. Her hands didn't shake. They never did. That evening, the mess hall buzzed with noise and arrogance. Lara waited at the end of the food line, invisible again. When she finally sat, a shadow fell across her tray. Ethan's elbow bumped it, sending stew across her sleeve. "Oops," he said, smiling like it was a test. Taryn laughed behind him, delighted by the spectacle. Lara dabbed the sleeve with a napkin and kept eating. No anger, no words. Just silence and patience. That was how infiltration worked. Every reaction became evidence. Every insult a clue. Across the hall, a quiet cadet named Anna watched her. Unlike the others, Anna didn't laugh. Their eyes met for a moment, brief but sharp. Lara nodded once before returning to her notes. The notebook lay open beside her plate, each page filled with coded observations and times. She wrote as if taking inventory, nothing suspicious. Underneath the words, she mapped personalities and threats. Crow, overconfident; Vale, insecure; Keller, careless. Patterns formed like cracks beneath a painted wall. That night, the barracks fell into uneasy quiet. Lara recorded her first field log under her breath. Day 1, hostility normalized as discipline. Favoritism clear, command neglect visible. Her voice barely above a whisper, she closed the recorder. Outside, the wind carried the sound of marching boots. Inside, she lay still, her eyes open in the dark. Phoenix Base slept in arrogance. She stayed awake in purpose. The game had begun. The sun hadn't risen when Lara slipped into the records room. The air was stale, thick with dust and secrets. She moved quietly, every motion rehearsed from years of covert work. The duty officer snored behind a thin partition. His negligence was her opportunity. Rows of cabinets lined the walls like metal soldiers. Each drawer labeled with dates, names, and codes. She searched until her fingers brushed a folder marked training incidents. Inside were the files of 3 dead recruits. Each death ruled an accident, each signed by Colonel Hensley himself. The language was clean, official, and deliberately vague. But buried in the appendices were contradictions. Witness reports that didn't match the final summaries. Statements about faulty equipment and missing safety checks. Her pulse quickened as the pattern revealed itself. It wasn't carelessness. It was control. Hensley was protecting his people and his reputation. Lara's instincts screamed corruption, layered and deep. She copied details into her coded notebook, line by line. The clock on the wall ticked louder with each word. Footsteps echoed down the corridor. She froze. The handle turned once, then stopped. After a pause, the sound faded. She exhaled quietly and slipped the folder back into place. By the time dawn broke, she was just another clerk at her desk. The morning drills began with Keller shouting commands. Ethan grinned at her during formation, waiting for weakness. "Try not to trip today, logistics," he whispered. She ignored him, counting every word as data. When the whistle blew, she ran with calculated precision. Not too fast, not too slow. Just invisible enough. Later, Keller summoned the platoon for tactical review. He sketched an assault triangle on the board, erasing one flank. "This formation saves time," he said proudly. Lara felt her stomach tighten. That change would expose an entire team to enemy fire. No safety officer objected. Hensley watched from the back, nodding approval. Ethan raised his hand, eager to impress. "Sir, I can demonstrate the new layout." Keller smiled and stepped aside. Ethan's version was worse, reckless beyond logic. Applause followed anyway. Lara bit her tongue until it bled. Every cheer was another nail in a coffin. When the session ended, she left unnoticed. Outside, the August heat pressed against her like judgment. In the barracks that night, she whispered into her recorder. Day 2, structural incompetence endorsed by leadership. Colonel Hensley complicit in training malpractice. Her ankle ached from the run, but she didn't stop. She needed proof, not opinions. Each page of her notebook filled with quiet rebellion. Tomorrow, she would dig deeper. The answers were here, buried beneath polished boots and false pride. She closed her eyes only when the night guards changed shifts. The base slept, confident in its lies. Lara dreamed of the truth, breaking through like dawn. The sabotage began small and almost invisible. Her canteen leaked during the morning endurance run. Halfway through, her water was gone, soaked into her pants. Ethan's smirk from across the field told her everything. That night, her compass needle pointed south instead of north. A tiny magnet lay hidden under her gear. Taryn flicked it between her fingers, smiling sweetly. "You should be more careful, clerk," she said. Lara pocketed the magnet without a word. Every move they made became another entry in her ciphered notes. Each act of cruelty was proof wrapped in arrogance. Isolation became her daily companion. At meals, cadets left a perfect circle of empty chairs around her. Their whispers rose and fell like insects buzzing at dusk. She ate silently, studying faces, timing glances, nodding loyalties. The instructors watched, but never interfered. Their silence confirmed complicity more than any document could. One night, Lara found a small note under her pillow. "I saw what happened," it read in neat handwriting. No signature, just a folded strip of medical wrap. Across the room, Anna sat cleaning her boots. Their eyes met for a heartbeat, heavy with unspoken alliance. Trust was a dangerous currency, but she accepted it. The next morning brought a new kind of cruelty. Keller announced a competition of elimination. Lowest performer each day would face punishment before the unit. Ethan's grin widened as murmurs rippled through the ranks. "The colonel approved this," Keller said proudly. Lara's jaw tightened, but she showed no reaction. A new game within the game had begun. That evening, she inspected her locker again. Her gear was rearranged with surgical precision. A silent message, "We can reach you anytime." She checked her recorder twice, ensuring it still functioned. The red light blinked steadily, loyal and unafraid. When the barracks went dark, she whispered her log. Day 13, psychological pressure increasing. Sabotage sanctioned at command level. She paused, listening to the quiet breathing of others. The walls held secrets thicker than concrete. She thought of the 3 recruits who never made it this far. They had probably trusted the wrong people. She wouldn't make that mistake. The next test was navigation through the dense woodland. Cadets released 2 minutes apart, each with a compass and map. Halfway to checkpoint 3, she spotted Anna lost among trees. Her compass wavered, her map turned the wrong way. "Your declination's off," Lara whispered from behind her. Anna blinked, startled, then nodded in gratitude. "You're not what you seem," she whispered. Lara smiled faintly, already walking away. Kindness had become rebellion here. When she returned to base, Ethan's glare followed her steps. He sensed the shift, but didn't understand it yet. The circle of control around her was cracking. That night, she recorded again, her tone colder. Command manipulation confirmed. Next phase, collect decisive evidence. Outside, the wind rattled the flag against its pole. Inside, Lara sharpened her resolve in silence. She was done surviving. It was time to fight back. The shooting range shimmered under the noon heat. Ethan's voice carried across the crowd like a taunt. $10 says she can't hit the target, he laughed. Cadets chuckled, waiting for the spectacle to unfold. Captain Keller handed Lara a standard rifle, unimpressed. "Qualification course," he said flatly. "Try not to embarrass yourself." Lara took the weapon with calm precision. Her hands moved automatically, stripping it down to parts. Metal clinked against metal in perfect rhythm. 48 seconds later, the rifle stood reassembled. The laughter died as silence replaced mockery. She stepped to the firing line, steady as breath itself. Half inhale, quarter exhale, hold. The first bullet split the air with a whisper. Then another, and another, each dead center. 15 rounds formed a single hole at the heart. She switched stance, kneeling, then prone, never missing once. When she lowered the rifle, the silence felt alive. Ethan's grin vanished, replaced by disbelief. Keller's eyes narrowed as he wrote something on his clipboard. For the first time, respect crept into his tone. "Not bad, clerk," he muttered, uncertain whether to praise or fear. Lara gave a nod and walked off without a word. Behind her, whispers spread like wildfire through the ranks. By evening, even the kitchen staff had heard. The woman from logistics wasn't what she seemed. During dinner, Anna accidentally dropped her tray near the officers. While the mess erupted in laughter, Lara slipped behind the desk. Her phone camera flashed once, capturing the schedule board. Missing safety protocols glared from every page. Each omission matched the accidents she'd read about. The evidence was stacking higher than anyone knew. Later, in the dim corridor, Anna brushed past her. "Nice shooting today," she whispered. Lara smiled. "Thanks for the distraction." "Sometimes," Anna said softly, "one spark is enough." That night, Lara studied the schedule by flashlight. Tomorrow's elimination challenge mirrored a ghost hawk drill. The irony made her almost laugh. They had built a trap, using her own blueprint. She memorized every obstacle, every route. Her cover was thin, but control was shifting. At dawn, the inspection began before the challenge. Ethan brushed against her shoulder, tearing her sleeve. The fabric ripped, revealing the black tattoo beneath. A coiled hawk wrapped around a broken blade. His eyes widened in shock and recognition. He'd seen that emblem before, in briefings about ghosts. Their gazes locked, silent understanding crossing between them. Game over. The secret was no longer safe. Lara didn't flinch, didn't hide the mark again. Let them see who she really was. If fear was what they respected, she would use it. That night, she whispered into her recorder again. Exposure imminent, evidence ready. Next step, confrontation. Outside, the wind howled through the empty parade ground. Inside, Lara's heart beat steady as a countdown. The time for patience was ending. Tomorrow, the reckoning would begin. The morning of the elimination, challenge arrived heavy with tension. Mud clung to boots as cadets lined up at the start. 20 competitors, one final test of endurance and pride. Captain Keller's whistle hung from his neck like a threat. "Positions," he barked, clipboard in hand. Ethan stood 3 places to Lara's right, jaw tight with ego. Taryn stretched beside him, her smirk thinner than before. Lara checked her laces, her movements calm and deliberate. Every second, every heartbeat was a calculation. She didn't need victory. She needed control. "On my mark," Keller shouted. The whistle pierced the morning. They surged forward, splashing through mud and gravel. Cargo nets, climbing walls, balance beams. The course unfolded like a memory from Ghost Hawk days. Lara's body remembered every sequence, every rhythm. She moved with grace disguised as fatigue. Not first, not last, just perfect invisibility. The heat pressed down, blurring the horizon. Sweat stung her eyes, but her pace never faltered. Halfway through, she felt Ethan's gaze burning into her back. He wanted dominance, not time. When she crossed the final wire crawl, the crowd roared. Second place, exactly as planned. She bent forward, hands on knees, pretending to gasp. Her breathing steady beneath the act. Keller scribbled something on his clipboard, eyes sharp. "Impressive improvement, Quinn," he said coldly. "Almost like you've been holding back." "Just getting used to the training, sir," she replied. Ethan slammed his water bottle onto the ground. "Luck," he spat. "Let's see how she handles a real fight." Keller raised an eyebrow. "You suggesting combat ring?" Ethan nodded, already stepping into the sand pit. "Unless logistics specialists only fight paperwork." A murmur rippled through the formation. Keller hesitated, then gestured. "Fine, proceed." The cadets circled, their excitement sharp and hungry. Lara entered the ring, boots sinking into soft sand. Ethan cracked his knuckles, circling like a wolf. No hiding this time. He growled. She waited, calm as stone. He lunged, fist aimed at her jaw. She sidestepped, letting his punch cut empty air. His second strike came faster, fueled by humiliation. She ducked low, pivoted, and caught his wrist. One precise twist. One sweep of the leg. Ethan hit the ground with a muffled thud. Before he could rise, her arm locked around his throat. Pressure exact and measured, not cruel, just final. 10 seconds later, his body went limp. She released him and stood in silence. The crowd didn't cheer this time. Even Keller's jaw tightened as he looked away. At the edge of the ring, Colonel Hensley appeared. His eyes found the tattoo on her arm. Recognition spread across his face like a shadow. "Where did you learn that technique, Quinn?" he asked quietly. Her gaze didn't waver. "Some lessons come with scars, sir." The colonel said nothing more. But Lara knew. Her cover was gone, and the real war had begun. The night after the fight, the base trembled with rumor. Lara moved through corridors like a ghost among whispers. Her sleeve now hid the tattoo again, but the damage was done. Everyone knew she wasn't who she claimed to be. She met Anna near the supply shed, away from the cameras. "Are you leaving?" Anna asked quietly. "Not yet," Lara replied. "There's still one truth missing." They exchanged a look that needed no words. When the mess hall erupted with noise, their plan began. Anna toppled an equipment rack, sending trays crashing loud. Lara slipped into the administration wing unseen. Colonel Hensley's office loomed at the end of the hall. Her gloves slid on. The lock yielded after one practiced twist. Inside, the air smelled of leather and deceit. Drawers opened beneath her touch like guilty mouths. Falsified safety reports filled the first cabinet. Signatures forged, names duplicated, evidence of rot. The next drawer revealed financial records and kickbacks. Payments from contractors who cut corners for profit. She photographed everything with clinical precision. Each flash of light captured another crime. The puzzle was complete now, the pattern undeniable. 3 dead recruits. Dozens injured. And a commander who built a career on silence. She replaced every file exactly where it had been. By the time the guards returned to their posts, she was gone. At dawn, the tension in the base was palpable. Keller's usual arrogance had turned to cautious obedience. Hensley's eyes darted from one face to another, searching. Mail call came with an announcement that froze the courtyard. General Adrian Blake will inspect Phoenix Base at 800. Lara's heartbeat steadied like a soldier's countdown. She caught Keller's glance. Fear had replaced his contempt. That evening, Hensley summoned her to his office. He smiled thinly, a predator dressing as a diplomat. "Your performance has been remarkable," he began. A folder lay open on his desk, her forged personnel file. "I think you've earned an instructor position." The offer slid across the polished wood like poison. "Generous," she said, not touching the paper. "We reward loyalty," he continued. "Discretion, understanding where one's place truly lies." She leaned forward, eyes locked on his. "3 recruits died because they trusted leaders like you." The color drained from his face. "Careful, Quinn," he warned. "Accidents happen to troublemakers." Lara placed her recorder on the desk. Its red light blinked steadily, pulsing with justice. "The only accident here was underestimating me," she said. Then she revealed the official orders signed by General Blake. "This is a sanctioned investigation, Colonel." Hensley lunged, but she caught his wrist midair. Her grip was iron, her tone colder than command. "You're finished." Outside, engines roared as military police arrived. By sunrise, the colonel was in custody, Keller suspended. General Blake addressed the cadets under a blazing flag. "Phoenix Base will be rebuilt on truth and integrity." Lara stood beside him in full uniform, rank restored. The recruits saluted her with genuine respect. She returned the gesture, silent and steady. Justice had finally taken form, and it wore her face. 1 month later, the base stood reborn under new command. Lara walked the same parade ground that once mocked her. Cadets now trained with discipline instead of fear. Anna led her own squad, eyes bright with purpose. During the graduation ceremony, the flag rose high and clean. Lara's voice carried through the morning air like a promise. "Integrity isn't decoration. It's the choice you make in silence." The crowd stood still, every word sinking deep. General Blake watched from the side, pride hidden behind formality. Their shared secret remained sealed by duty, not silence. After the ceremony, she packed her duffel and closed the locker. The same jeep that brought her here waited outside. The medal on her chest gleamed, but meant little to her. Change was the real reward. As she drove past the gates, sunlight spilled across the hood. The road stretched open, free and endless. Behind her, Phoenix Base no longer whispered corruption. Ahead, another mission waited, unseen but certain. She smiled to herself, quiet and sure. Peace wasn't the absence of battle. It was the moment after victory, when truth finally breathes.